welcome. Thank you so much for coming to this talk today about learning how to manage big feelings, stress, and family conflict. I'm here to offer new tools, new perspectives to shift the dynamics in your home and transform conflict into communication. Even if you've read every parenting book out there, parenting really relies on the job learning and experience. And I firmly believe that every family and every parent is doing the best they can with the knowledge and the resources they have. And we can all learn more and do better. I'm sure you can reflect back on your own parenting journey and pinpoint times when you learned a different way, tried a different approach with a different outcome, or even have some regrets about how an interaction went. But since you're here today, I imagine you recognize this and you have a desire to grow as a parent. So kudos to you for showing up and being open to new ideas. So I have some questions for you. Do you consider your teen to be emotionally sensitive or highly reactive? Do you often notice your teen expressing extreme emotions like guilt or confusion, anger? Does your teen seem out of control, impulsive, destructive? Do you ever worry about your teen's eating or drinking? Has your teen ever intentionally hurt themselves or talked about dying or suicide? Are you walking on eggshells to avoid conflicts at home? Worried that if you set a limit, it will trigger a blow up? If any of these ring true for you, then you're in the right place right now. We're going to cover are going to be understanding the difference between typical teen behaviors and those needing more attention. If you've ever wondered whether your teenager's behavior is developmentally appropriate or whether it's crossed a line and cause for concern, this talk can help. Parents often think maybe it's hormones, teen angst, or moodiness. I always say little kids have little problems, but teenagers have big problems, some that can even be dangerous or harmful. And we want to build trust now so that when they're in trouble, like they can't get home because their friend has been drinking, or they're on a date that's making them uncomfortable and they don't know how to handle it, they feel safe to reach out to you rather than trying to cover it up. So before we go any further, I want to give you a sense of who I am and why I'm qualified to speak on this topic. I'm a clinical psychologist with over 20 years of experience. I'm the founder and executive director of Connections Child and Family Center and our sister company, DBT of North Houston. I lead a team of psychologists and therapists that specialize in working with teens, parents, and families. We help over 100 teenagers every month, at least, to use practical coping skills to find happiness and connection after depression. We help them face their fears and find peace from anxiety, help them find healthy ways to manage urges without self-destruction or making life harder. We work with a lot of high-risk teens who've been depressed or anxious for a long time, who've moved on to unhealthy ways of coping. And in our sessions, they learn a new way of actually managing behaviors in a practical and logical way. We go beyond the venting sessions and nice conversations that are typical in some types of therapy. Our clients walk away with specific and useful tools to make actual changes in their lives. And that includes family members. So let's get started, shall we? When should you actually freak out? So we find that sometimes parents accidentally over-pathologize what might be a normal teen behavior, like sleeping in or being on their phone a lot, or spending a lot of time with friends, or spending time in their room, avoiding family interactions. You can expect that your teenager is likely to be moodier than when they were 10. There'll be more arguments, more conflict as they begin to question their values. They might challenge you more, and that's normal because that's the developmental task of adolescence, is to figure out who they are as individuals. And part of that questioning is also questioning the family they came from. They're likely to desire more privacy, more time alone in their room, all normal parts of being a teen. I'm sure you can reflect back on times when you were a teenager. I'm sure you probably spent more time in your room, more time on the phone, more time talking to friends, all normal. There'll be likely an increase in schoolwork related stress. And that's because high school is difficult and there's a lot more demands placed on teens. So we want to know, what is developmentally normative? What is atypical? So you can avoid dilemmas like minimizing something that actually is really serious and cause for concern, that could be harmful, or overreacting to teen behaviors that are really kind of within normal limits. There is some examples of this in your workbook that you should have received, but I'm going to go over some examples here with you today. So you may see an increase in self-consciousness. Teens often begin to fear more judgment from their peers. They become more interested in how they look, looking in the mirror more, doing selfies, being more concerned about their hair or their shoes. All normal parts of teen development, as long as they're not in an extreme. It's very common for sleep cycles to shift to a later bedtime as children get older and into the adolescent years. They may start wanting to go to bed at 11 or midnight. But if they're staying up till 2, 3, 4 in the morning on a regular basis, that becomes problematic. Biologically, the teen brain actually needs more sleep than when your child was 10 years old, for example. They may begin, like I said, increased questioning of social norms. They may question authority, wondering why are things the way they are. And if you remember when your teenager was like 2 or 3 and they were trying to figure out the world and asking you all those questions about why this and why that, that actually reemerges again right now as they're trying to figure out who they are and what they believe as individuals. So it's a misconception that a teenager is just a tiny adult. A teen brain actually is not connected and functioning in the same way as an adult brain. In some ways, it's actually more like the brain of a toddler, that time between being a baby and a school-age child. So when you start questioning, why is my teen doing this? Remember this that I just explained to you. It's because just because they present so mature doesn't mean their brain is actually as mature as we think it is. Some of the problematic behaviors that we should pay attention to and possibly be concerned about: any kind of substance use or abuse, selling drugs, using substances alone, drinking alone, pills, they're all cause for concern because of the addictive properties that make it so dangerous. Unsafe sex, sex with strangers, being on dating apps like Tinder, etc., pregnancy scares, sending sex messages, nudes, being on social media for long hours where it impedes their ability to complete their daily tasks, a cause for concern. If they're using the internet in a way that could be unsafe or dangerous, they're on for long hours doing technology that's, again, getting in the way of eating, sleeping, maintaining relationships, doing tasks they need to get done, that's cause for concern. On average, teens are spending 4 to 8 hours a day on technology, and we already know that there is a connection between cumulative technology use and depression and anxiety. And that as that goes up, so does depression and anxiety. If you find that your teen is getting into arguments with teachers, getting arrested, questioning authority to the point where it's creating consequences or it's really causing problems in their life, that would not be a typical teen behavior. So what are some other things that are really a concern? Self-injury or suicidal thoughts are never a part of typical teen moodiness. They are something that really requires immediate attention and that we take very seriously. If a teen is coming in and telling us that they have thoughts of dying or thoughts of death or thoughts of harming themselves or being dead, we're taking that really seriously. We're not going to take it lightly and think they're just trying to get attention. Because the reality is, even if they were, we would be really sorry if we didn't. Panic attacks. Anxiety is normal in teens. They worry about things. We all have demands. We're all stressed. But if they're having a lot of panic attacks, especially more than one, that does require professional support. If they're withdrawing a lot, avoiding social interactions, isolating for long periods, even away from friends, then that's a cause for concern. It's different from just spending time alone in your room, chilling and disconnecting. It's really being away from everyone and not talking with anyone about anything. Any kind of verbal or physical aggression that goes beyond just normal frustration or venting, anything that's really physical in particular, we really want to attend to that and see how we can get proactive before it gets worse. School refusal is also a problematic teen behavior. We know that the more a teen refuses to go to school and actually does not go, the more likely it is that they will not go the next time. The avoidance leads to more avoidance. Any kind of restricting or purging of food, anything that goes beyond just wanting to be healthy and just kind of caring how they look,